Hey everyone. Uh, yeah, I was planning to talk about this match, but then everything went to hell, and I've been stressed out of my mind for the last several days. I couldn't really get into Dynamite due to all this. I was really stressed out of my mind. I'm trying to work through it, trying to, and I felt like I can't hide it on YouTube. It's just not my way of life. Everything's just gone to fuck. So I tried to stick to Dynamite. It was kind of difficult when I'm hearing constant stuff. I won't say what those stuffs are because I'm trying to give someone who will watch this a form of escape. But I felt like I had to be open about this. I'm stressed, I'm frustrated, and I'm pissed. I won't say what if it causes a problem, so yeah. But yeah. This is Neo Reality Entertainment, the WrestleVerse, presenting Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia. The fact that we can say that now is a miracle. Yeah. Bryan Danielson, Daniel Garcia, the Battle of the Daniels. I'm surprised he did not make a joke on that. So, yeah. This match is part of the series of storylines Bryan's trying to do with Jon Moxley and what seems to be his list of people he wants to recruit into his new ultimate wrestling faction of chaos violence. And it's kind of crazy with how they do this. This is a match people have been wanting to see for a long while, and Bryan, a while back, did say he wants to bring Daniel Garcia into his dream faction he wants to form one day in AEW. Then he goes to Jon Moxley and pitches his, together we can rule this galaxy as wrestlers of violence. And I like how everyone was now cheering for the prospect of Bryan bringing Jon Moxley over to him. It's sort of like if Darth Vader tried to convince Luke, but instead of saying, join me and we can end this destructive conflict and bring new order to the galaxy, without really selling him why it would work and why it would make sense to join up with him. Whereas Bryan's like, here's my list of reasons what we can do, and the floor is yours. He gives Moxley about a few weeks to think this through. Moxley comes out and admits, yeah, as much as he doesn't trust Bryan, he had a hard time trying to think of a reason to say no, and had more reasons to say yes. About legacy, about wrestling, about the violence that he could bring with with this ultimate faction of young talent in the game. It's good when you got a face, you got characters that could sell a story, and even then the face and the heel are like, you got a good point there. But Moxley tries to see if he could counterpoint this whole thing by saying, is he doing it out of respect for him with Bryan, or is he doing it more out of fear for Bryan? No. If Bryan's doing this out of respect for Jon Moxley, or is he doing it out of fear for Jon Moxley? But what goes down with Lee Moriarty and Bryan was great. But what goes down with Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson is even greater. Bryan has essentially pushed himself into a position where he is basically saying, show me violence, basically Fight Club style violence, and you may be on a consideration list. He says Lee Moriarty pretty much didn't pass his test, but he has potential kid. Daniel Garcia, they did this match. It was awesome. It was... Oh man, this match was pretty wild, and Bryan even admits, that's what I wanted. And he asks the crowd, did Daniel Garcia prove himself? And the fans were reacting negatively to it, but Bryan looked like he was going to say something else to ignore them. But then 2.0, the duo that my buddy in AEW King hates, with a fiery passion because he thinks they're boring. And sure enough, Jon Moxley shocks everyone by coming out to the rescue, beating up 2.0 because he has also a shared history with them. Daniel Garcia gets a chair and looks like he's going to strike from behind, but Bryan stops the chair shot and grabs the chair away from him. And Jon Moxley drops Daniel Garcia with a Dirty Deeds, or paradigm shift as he calls it now, and a much bigger one, elevated version. And Bryan then says what Jon Moxley says. Do you think Bryan's gonna just hand the microphone to Jon Moxley and saying, I want your answer now? No, instead he says another answer. Jon Moxley, when he was saying, like, the only way you're gonna get me is if we bleed together. Bleed fighting one another. And Bryan goes ahead, grabs a mic, and basically decrees that yes, if I'm going to team up with you, I gotta bleed for you. And officially announces Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley at AEW Revolution. And that Moxley might be the only one bleeding, though. So Bryan is clearly all in on this, that he is the one that makes the lays out the accepting of the challenge, even throwing the chair away, saying, I don't need this to make you bleed. So you got this very compelling narrative going on with Jon Moxley. We don't know if Eddie Kingston at all is going to factor into this, because he's too busy battling Chris Jericho and trying to take away the Inner Circle system away from him. But Jon Moxley now looks like out of one group and into another, because really that fits Moxley's character. The whole the only way we're going to team together is if we bleed together is basically how he and Eddie Kingston kind of hashed out their issues after so long of fighting each other, and then Kingston makes the sacrifice to save him in a botched ending. But that's still a bad day. What should have been a very emotional, scary moment for the wrestlers and fans turns into whatever the hell the production company that made that set the whole thing up screwed up on. So, yeah. I was, and even Daniel Garcia says, what if? I want this faction to form. Lee Moriarty, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, just this uber violent group of the present and future wrestlers of tomorrow, and set another set of pillars up for AEW. Yeah, and I like how Jon Moxley's music kept playing even after he came into the ring. Like, normally when you go into the ring and the music just stops, but instead they just kept the music playing just to highlight that everything's gone chaotic. I don't know if that was intentional or not, or if that was a botch on the production team's end, but it kind of helps the whole this is chaos madness. So, yeah. And even though we've had Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson in the past, and Dean Ambrose versus Daniel Bryan in the past, I'm kind of excited for this one. Please note, the first time Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson fought each other, Bryan was still pretty damn awesome. Jon Moxley was just getting into the game. Dean Ambrose and Daniel Bryan were wrestlers who had a lot of seasoning to them, but you had the WWE system involved. So, and now you're going to get Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. now both heavy seasoned and very refined in their craft in an unrestricted violent matchup. Yeah, that's a recipe for some awesome quality content right there, people. Whew. I honestly am hoping Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley team up after this. I honestly want that. It's because Bryan gave compelling points, leaving behind something, becoming not just an arbiter of violent wrestling, but also an arbiter of the future, the next stage in wrestling. It's a fun time for wrestling. It's a scary time for everyone else. I'm trying to use this as a form of escapism now, and I have people on certain forums going ahead and making stupid statements about what's going on in the world. I know I'm getting a little bit more subdued than I was getting excited, but I'm just reminded that the tribalists have now fully lost all sense of any resembling semblance of logic. I snapped on Twitter, and then someone tried to say they were just kidding the whole time, even though there was no indication they were kidding. I'm not going to say their name because as much as I don't like them at the moment, they don't deserve to get harassed. Blocked? You? Do what you want with that. Harass? Death threats? No. I'm never going to purport that. No. So, yeah. But yeah, heading into Revolution, we got a stacked card. Bryan Danielson, Daniel Garcia's storyline, I think, is going to continue with the faction recruitment if Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley goes a particular route that I'm hoping for. So we're going to be excited for that as much as I can be. But yeah, I'm hoping for the best for this, and I'll be the best of everything else. It's a wild time right now, and we need all the content we can deliver at the moment before everything goes to hell, probably. But yeah. Bryan Danielson, Daniel Garcia, thanks for trying to lift my spirits last night. This was Near Reality Entertainment, the WrestleVerse, presenting Bryan Danielson versus Daniel Garcia at AEW Dynamite 2022. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other content in the description below. Stay tuned for more. I'll see you all next time. Peace and take care. Have a good night, everybody, and have a good day, and take care of yourself out there.